Hello and good weekend to everybody, and happy split screening. We're looking at a game called Outward, which is relatively new, came out this year in March from 9 Dot Studios, and this is an open world split screen RPG. So welcome. Smaller studio, obviously, and a slightly lower price, $20, 15 quid. And you can straight away see that this is no Jedi Fallen Order, but this is certainly not a half-assed indie game by any stretch. Full-blown 360 exploration on a map, and some luscious environments, vivid colours, and a cool, slightly feudal Japan thing going on here. I think there's a number of different cultural directions that this game takes, but the Orient being one of them. And top tip, you have to gather a lot of stuff together to be able to exit the starting village. Just bear in mind that one, you might want to get that done in one player like I have before bringing someone in. So it's billed as an action open world RPG adventure game, and the emphasis is on the adventure with this one because it's all about being self-sufficient. It's about not depending on villages and not having to rely on big central hubs. It's about moving through a very vast map and almost nomadically surviving with beds, crafting meals, hunting down wildlife, etc. One of the cool things is that the other person, when they join the game, can join your game during the game. So if someone just comes in and sits down next to you, they just have to push the options button and they're in. They will have to create a character, obviously, but this is very easy and quick. There are a few races, there's no classes, there's not like a mage or a bow expert, anything like that. You start with a base level, but that's cool. I like that, and it's very cool that I am not disturbed at all on a frame rate basis when all this is going on in the screen below me. There's no leveling system as such, but there's a very big emphasis on crafting and infantry management, right down to stuff like backpack quality and size, and right down to a Souls-like roll mechanic that will be hindered if you are over encumbered. So we've got a few bits of a lot of brilliant RPGs in here. There's certainly bits of Skyrim in here. There's certainly bits of Breath of the Wild in here, with the gathering of the wood and the walking around with nature and grabbing all of the sort of local foliage and putting together cool stuff. And of course you can also loot and get hold of all the enemy equipment. There's an annoying thing about swapping infantry. You have to drop something for the other person to pick it up, so the person that will join you won't have anything to start with. A bit like Borderlands 3, you'll have to donate lots of stuff. The combat has also taken a little leaf from the old Souls book with the R3 lock-on mechanic, which is really handy for groups of enemies. This piece of footage is a bandit camp actually, and you can see on the right that I've got my various self-selected hotkeys and various weapons that I've allocated on particular buttons that I'm familiar with. But the combat is not going to blow your mind, right? This is not Devil May Cry 5. It doesn't have to be. It's a little bit sticky, but it does work. There's a large variant of enemies. There's also a sneak attack and a roll and a run button. So you have a lot of options in combat. I haven't come across any sword or shield mechanics yet, or any parry mechanics, or major magic mechanics. I do have a special on my circle button at the moment, which is when he swung that staff around, which looks pretty cool. Sleep, rest, disease and ailments play a large part in this game. You can see the numerous amount of symbols on the bottom screen there prior to having a kip, and what that will do, just like in Skyrim or a Fallout, will restore your health, get rid of various ailments, but not all of them. You might catch a particularly bad disease. Disease are headaches in games like this for me. This one handles them quite well. They're not that dilapidating, but they are annoying and they need to be treated. So that's a cool layer. You can also get a stamina increase or decrease depending on what sort of ailment you have, and also the weather has an effect on your clothing and being exposed, etc. I like what this game's trying to do. This game is trying to be like an affordable third-person Divinity Original Sin almost, where you are both on an awesome adventure. The story is not too massive. There are no annoying cutscenes, believe it or not, and most of the important dialogue is actually recorded in voice, which is very cool. One of the stranger things is the map. I can't find myself on the map screen, and also when you pull up the map screen, it pulls it up for both of you. So that is one of the interruptions, is that if you're lost and you need to pull up the map, it will affect both players. There's also quite a lot of cool enemy group designs as well, and a lot of rewards for downing particularly vicious enemies. There's also revive mechanic, and punishment or death is also not that bad. You'll get transported back to the village with the majority of your items, which I think is a pretty lenient addition. There is a lot of infantry management, but this is something I respect and want in a smaller indie split-screen RPG adventure game. I want to have a huge crafting list, and I want to find strange ingredients and experiment with smithies and putting together recipes, etc. It's certainly got that in droves, and it's got a lot of different weapon types, all with their own attack and attack pattern types as well. So that's something I'm looking forward to opening up. Here's a picture of the map that's actually the village that you start in, and you can see how populated it is. There's a beach and there's loads of different shops, and there's this lighthouse that's there that's got this like crypt underneath it that's full of cool zombie things. It does have its fair share of atmosphere also.
Huh.
Skyrim-esque dungeons are here in their abundance, and the clever thing about this game also, which I think it borrows from the Souls series as well, is a massive lack of mission markers, annoying things, a mini map, a directional button. There's just a compass, that's it, and you just have to venture across the landscape, working out which enemies are going to be tougher than you, which bandit camps are going to be too big. If you go in this cave, have you got a lantern, which we didn't have in this particular situation, which made it far more scary. There's luminous fungus around, there's new enemy types in here. I really loved that. If you're into a lot of the games I've been mentioning in the review, and you're looking for a cool sit-down, two-person, split-screen, medieval, almost action RPG experience, this is very good. It's a very big game. I foresee about 100 to 300 hours in this game to fully explore its story, fully explore a lot of the side quests that are in here, and discover all the cool new characters and special enemies and enemy types as well. There's quite a lot of bosses that are just situated around. It's a bit like the Remnant, where it's just like, is this the final boss? Is this the mid-level boss? Is this just a random spawn? You just don't know. So I love the idea of having the unpredictable element of the story laid ahead of you because of the different directions you've taken on that map. Because there's no mission marker. There's no, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. So the closing comments are, it's great to see a game like this come out in 2019 from an indie developer that's a full-blown action RPG split-screen adventure game. That is no-brainer material. So if you remotely like what you saw, if you're a fan of some of the games I mentioned earlier, then go and have a look at this. Quick update on the channel, I've got Modern Warfare, the split-screen review coming out shortly, and of course I'm playing Jedi Fallen Order. Holy shit. See you there!